The path to profit and loss is paved in expectations. So get clear, get specific, get it in writing, and protect your profit. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. And today we're going to talk about one mistake that's costing you tens of thousands of dollars a year. And you probably don't even realize you're making it. Let's dive in. All right. So I want you to picture this scenario. You finished a project. It's a beautiful patio, fire pit, seating wall, the whole 9 yards. You're really proud of this work. It looks incredible. You take pictures. You're putting it on Instagram. You're showing your family. This is one of those projects that you're going to remember because it was really turned out really well. At the end of the project, you grab your homeowner and you walk them through for their final walkthrough. And instead of gratitude, you get complaints. You hear things like, I thought that was included when they looked at the final bill. And you never told me it was going to take this long to build this. And then there's still a few things we need you to fix. And you're sitting there dumbfounded. You're like, what are you talking about? Everything that we said we were going to do is done. But they're still not happy. Now you're stuck doing all this extra work for free, or starting an argument with them, or dealing with a bad review. You're stuck in a pickle, right? We're like, what are we going to do with this? Why did what we provide the client why wasn't it enough? Why wasn't this exactly what they expected? It's what I told them. Has this ever happened to you? I know for me, it's happened many times in the past, and I was never thrilled when it happened. I would hold my breath at final walkthroughs in the early days because I thought, you know what, this is what I thought was the standard, and the client would come out and say, well, hey, I thought there was more, a few more bushes over here, or this was going to be mounted differently, or this was going to look different, or there's going to be some lights over there. I thought you said that. A lot of I thoughts kept popping into that. And here's what I finally learned. This had nothing to do with the quality of my work, even though I started to doubt that I thought it was maybe the quality that wasn't good. It had everything to do with the expectations I set or didn't set with my customers from the beginning. Because here's the truth. The path to profit or loss is paved in expectations. And today, we're going to talk about how to set them, how to protect them, and how to make sure you never lose profit again on scope creep. So let's get started with the problem. Most contractors are terrible at setting expectations. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, nobody taught us how. I know I certainly didn't know how to do it. We learned how to build cool stuff. We went to workshops, and we went to seminars, and we went to different events to learn how to use our hands and equipment to build really nice stuff. We learned about materials and processes and techniques, all of those things to build an amazing outdoor living space. But nobody taught us how to communicate clearly with homeowners. I know that was my story. So what do most contractors do? They use vague language. Yeah, we'll start, and I don't know, maybe a couple of months from now. Should take, 2, 3, 4 weeks to take, to get done. Not a big deal. It really depends on the weather. Well, don't worry. We'll handle everything. Don't worry about anything. We got all of it. Now, homeowners hear something completely different. You say, probably starting, mid-April. They hear definitely April 1st. Regardless if that's what you said or not, this is what they hear. You say 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the weather. They hear 2 weeks max, rain or shine. You say, we handle everything. And they hear everything I can possibly imagine is included. Now, the gap between what you said and what they heard is where profit goes to die. And here's where contractors get in trouble because they don't spend the time to write things out. They simply want to articulate them through communication, through talking to somebody. And then since they said it, they feel like the other person understands it fully. And it's been communicated, really the problem. Let me give you another real example. I had a contractor tell me a story that he quoted a project for a patio and said it would probably take about 2 weeks. The homeowner planned her daughter's graduation party for week 3, so right after that. Well, as usual with our world, right? The weather hit. They lost 4 days to rain, and the project finished in 2 weeks and in at least a few more days, which was completely reasonable given the situation with the weather, but the homeowner was pissed because she heard 2 weeks guaranteed. homeowners don't think about weather because they usually work in a cubicle or inside their house where it doesn't matter. It's always 68 degrees and sunny. We don't work in those environments, but our clients don't know that. Our clients don't think the way we do. They don't see the world the way we do with our glasses on because we have contractor glasses on, looking out into the world, seeing what happens with the weather, with equipment breakdowns, with material delays, with all of these things that come up. They don't see those things. All they hear is this idealistic idea of what it could be. And they have no other evidence in their life to provide any other options for them. So they had to move that party. And she then eventually posted a 1-star review and demanded $5,000 discount for missing the date. Because in her mind, it was done on time. And that was part of the quote unquote contract, which was never talked about by the contractor. But he ate the cost. And he wasn't willing to fight it with them because they were real crazy people. And I believe in this case, one of them was a lawyer. So he's like, I'm just not going to fight this. Just took the hit and that was it. But that's $5,000 gone because of one vague sentence. Now multiply that across 10 projects a year. There's $50,000 lost in profit. That's not an insane thought, guys. You guys listening out there, has things like that happened to you in the past where expectations didn't line up? Your expectations didn't line up with your customers or vice versa, and it caused conflict? So let's do the math on unclear expectations because I want you to see how much this is actually costing you. So here's a scenario. We talk about timeline a lot, especially with outdoor living spaces. Customers want to know what's it going to cost, when can you build it, all that kind of stuff. And you say, well, about mid-April, we can start. And they expect April 1st. And then you start April 20th, and they're pissed off. They start demanding a discount or start just starting the entire relationship off on the wrong foot, in a bad, sour note. So what do? Just to keep them happy, you give them discounts or try to give them something else just to keep them quiet so they don't write you a bad review and don't make this entire engagement pain in the neck to deal with. So you just give them some money back and that's that. The cost right there in this scenario, of course, is $2,000. All because they heard April, you said mid-April, they heard April 1st, and you started on the 20th. And now all of a sudden, we've got a problem. So here's another scenario, scope creep. You say, we'll build you a beautiful patio. You've given them a proposal, all that is good. And all of a sudden, for some crazy reason, they think patio equals landscaping too. Furniture, painting the fence, irrigation work. They think all of this is included. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking I'm nuts, but some people think this stuff. When you say beautiful patio, to them, that's what that all equals. And you explain that it's not included. And they say, you should have told me. And then you end up having to throw money into the deal so that you don't get a bad review and that you can get this project done, and it ends up costing you potentially thousands of dollars. Now, I know that's an extreme example, but the point is, when your customers don't know exactly what's included and you haven't gone through it piece by piece with them, they start to assume things. And when they assume things, that ends up biting you both in the butt. So here's scenario 3, an endless punch list. So you say, when we're done, we'll take a look at everything. So clients coming out, looking around, and you're just not really excited about them always being out there. Say, don't worry, just go in the house. When we're done, we can go take a look at everything. And then you finish up, and the next thing you know, they come out with a punch list. Holy moly, it's a punch list of like 30 things. And you start thinking, holy moly, what are you talking about? I think we're done. You think we're done. Contractor thinks we're done. And they think there's a bunch of final touches that need to be done in order to make it just right. That can cost you lots and lots of money, if not thousands of dollars, into extra labor just to take care of some of these final touches. And you could be doing this over and over throughout the years. Imagine doing, 10 projects a year and how fast this will add up. All because expectations weren't set clear. I've seen proposals. I know some of my students in the academy have brought me in proposals that they show their clients. And I will be absolutely honest when I show you or tell you that some of them say paver patio, $18,000, fire pit, $6,000. And that's what they're giving their clients. Landscaping, $2,800. And that's what they're giving their client. And the client uses that proposal to start setting their own assumptions. Then they come back and be like, all right, well, you said landscaping, $2,800. I need, where are all the trees that come with it? Well, we didn't talk about trees. Well, I thought since it said landscaping here that it included a bunch of full-size trees in here. Well, no, that's not what it was. There's only a couple of bushes. Well, next thing you know, there's a conflict. And I know contractors don't do this because they're dumb. They do this because they're in a hurry. They want to make as many projects move through the pipeline as possible. So sitting in the office and writing these things out and getting detailed about it is not easy to do. And it's not often easy to find the time. So they just say, okay, I set the words to my customer. I set the expectations at the meeting. I'll write up a proposal that includes everything I said. The client accepts that, but what the client heard and what the contractor said are often vastly different. It's kind of like Whisper Down the Alley, if you ever played that game, where one person says one thing in one person's ear, and by the 30th person, it sounds completely different. It's the same thing here, guys. We must be extremely clear when we set expectations with our customers. This will take most of your conflicts and most of your objections out right away. Now, here's the kind of shift. You need to set that crystal clear expectations early, often, and in writing. No vague language, no assumptions, not they should know how this thing works. They should know how a patio is built. They should know what it takes to do these outdoor living spaces. No, clear language. Make sure it's crystal clear and give them and let them, work with you, understanding what they are, and make sure they understand that what, if they have any questions, ask and answer those early in the process. So what we want to do here is an example. So before, this is a vague way to do it. We'll probably start around mid-April. It should take about 2 or 3 weeks depending on the weather. Okay. Sounds reasonable, right? If you want to clarify that and make that easier, clearer, set a better expectation, you would say something like, hey, we're going to start at April 15th. This project's going to take 2 weeks and we're completed by the end of April. If the weather delays us more than 2 days, we'll let you know immediately and update the timeline. Sound good? Now, do you feel the difference? The specificity, the clarity that comes with that. Now, here's a little caveat, contractors. If you can't hit that April 15th deadline, don't say stuff like that. It is very important for you to be as truthful as possible. And if it takes you to do it by days like that, if you're good with that and you can hit that and your crew's really tight, then do that. If not, do it in chunks, early and late for the month, or you can do it in seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but the more clear you can be, the less likely you're going to have issues with your customer because we have a clear understanding of what the expectations are. Now, once that's done, you're going to have a much simpler time working with people with clear timelines, and then the contingencies all explained, agreements requested, all those things are done ahead of time. So here's another one. Here's before, a vague way of saying something. So we're going to build you that beautiful patio. That's great, but beautiful patio is, what does that mean? The customer thinks it means all of these things, and you think it means all of these other things. And then you build this thing that you think it is, and they don't think it's the same thing. And now we've got problems. Take our time. Clear. Afterward, if you're going to make that even better and more clear, here's exactly what's included, you might say. 20 by 30 paper patio, natural stone seating wall with the exact stone height and length, fire pit with lava rock, and if there's a certain manufacturer to be clear there, low voltage lighting with so many fixtures at this watt range, all of that would be listed in there. What size transformer, all those things are included. And when you have that kind of detail and specificity, your clients then when they go back and say, that's not what I heard, you can point and say, here is what you signed. And we went through this together hand in hand. You also want to list in there what is not included. If landscaping or plantings or outdoor furniture, electrical work or lighting or whatever it might be, anything that's not included that you talked about, make sure it's listed there. Because if you don't, and you're talking to your customer about the entire project and they have a bunch of changes throughout the design process, and at the end, they remember that one time they told you that they wanted the shed back in the corner of the property and it's never come up again. And in the back of their heads, they still think they're getting that shed as part of your proposal. And they don't get the shed at the end of the project, they're not going to be very happy about that. So by being very clear about what you do and don't include based on your conversations is very important here. And if they want to add those things in, let them add them back in. That's not a problem to do, but that will cost more money. But by being clear, there's not going to be as much confusion. What you told them is included, and what you didn't tell them, we told them is not included, is not included. And then you got to go through and explain how additions will work if they change their mind. And that's how you protect your profit, by being razor sharp on exactly what is and what is not included. All right, so let me give you 7 non-negotiable expectations you must set on every single project. And if you're driving, don't write these down. But if you're somewhere else where you can, start writing them down. First, number 1 is timeline. Give specific dates if you can. The closer you can be to these things, just make sure you can land the plane on those dates. If you can't, don't do it. If you can, do it. The more exact you can be, the better it's going to be for you guys. Next is going to be, and make sure you always work in their weather contingencies. We always say that Mother Nature runs our schedule. This is our target. This is our goal, but Mother Nature runs a schedule, and you just have to be adaptable to that. And clients laugh, and that's just what it is. But we set that ahead of time in writing so they know that. Number 2 is scope. Define what exactly is and is not included. Most contractors only say what is included, and they don't say what's not. And oftentimes clients come back and say, well, I thought, I assume, why isn't it there? And now you're sitting in a situation where your clients are dissatisfied or just pissed off in general. Next is schedule of the payment schedule for everything. Like, how are you scheduling payments? We need to have clear amounts and clear expectations for that. Here's an example. Don't copy this word for word, but here's an example of what that might look like. And remember, when it comes to deposits, you have to think about your state and what's legally allowed there when it comes to projects and deposits. But something like, we take a 50% deposit to lock in your spot, 25% when we start construction, and then 25% at the end when we finish. Payments are due within 24 hours of each milestone. If the payment is late, the work stops until payment is received. Done. Simple, understandable, no wiggle room, clear. Don't say, yeah, I'm just going to come ask you for money when I'm running out of money. Don't do it that way. Make sure it's very clear. Next, number 4 is communication. Tell them when and how you'll communicate. Set your expectation. Something like, I'll text you each morning when we're on site for a brief update. If there's a delay or an issue, I'll call you immediately. And you can reach me by text or phone between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. And I don't answer after 6, and I'm not available on Saturdays or Sundays. That's family time. And when you're clear like that, they know what to expect. And you're not getting texts at 10, 11 o'clock at night asking for updates, what's going on. You're setting the frame and you're driving the bus. And this is how you're going to create an environment where the expectations are set well in advance. And trust me, your customers want that clarity and that confidence knowing exactly what you're doing. You give them such certainty with that. Next up, number 5 is site disruption. Tell them what to expect during construction. Because, again, homeowners do this backyard renovation once or twice in a lifetime. So if you aren't clear with what that looks like and how you're going to come back, and if you're doing a bigger project and it's going to look like a bomb hit their backyard and dirt everywhere and a dog is going to be dragging mud in and out of the house for weeks on end and the kids can't go to the backyard and there's things that can be dangerous and mom's in the house sweating every day thinking how her kids are going to get hurt. I might be sounding crazy right now, but I'll tell you right now, that's what goes through a lot of homeowners' minds because they don't know what they're getting into when we start. We do. We do it all the time. They do not. So tell them what to expect during construction. Something like, we'll arrive between 7 and 8 a.m. and work until 4 or 5 each day. There'll be tons of noise, dust, possibly even vibration in the house. There'll be equipment in your backyard, and your backyard will not be usable for the entire time that we're working on this project. We'll clean up at the end of each day, but expect mess until we're fully finished. They need to know this, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't tell them, they start complaining about the noise, the dust, the mess. Oh my goodness, I can't get in my garage. You park materials or you drop materials directly in front of my garage doors. If you have conversations with them, those things that are surprises disappear because you set them as expectations. And if there's an issue with one of those things, your customer will bring it up and you can make those adjustments before it becomes some kind of confrontation and a 1-star review. Number 6, change orders. Explain exactly how change orders work before the project starts. Something like, if you want to make changes after we start, that's not a problem. Here's how it works. I'll give you a written price for the change. You'll approve that, and by signing it, and you will adjust the timeline if needed. Change for that change order will be due before we start the work, and everything will be in writing, so there's no surprises. So that'll protect you contractors from scope creep and from taking an invoice back to your customer at the end of the project and keeping your fingers crossed that they remembered they told you that they green lighted that $8,000 water feature in the backyard, that they gave you a thumbs up for that on that Friday afternoon when they were heading out to dinner with friends. And then you go there for your $8,000 and they say, we didn't say that, but the water feature is already built in, right? It's already there. Then what are you going to do? So make sure you get all those things signed and paid for up front as you move through. And if you're clear with exactly how that works from day one with your customers, you won't have to deal with all of those moments where you're super stressed out and pissed off because your customer just doesn't get it. Number 7, final walkthrough. Control the punch list. I was always a big fan of having a longer punch list than my customers did, which meant that I had a higher standard than most did. We'd walk through before I'd even have the client come out and take a look at things, and I would have my own as I'm walking through with the guys, and they would make those adjustments ahead of time based on the expectations I set with the customer. And most times, I was pretty darn close. Most of the time, I was pretty darn close. And there always could be a couple of things. A lot of times, the customer said, you know what? I don't actually see anything that I want to change here. It's perfect. Awesome. Good to go. But if you do have some things, not a problem. When we finish, we'll walk the project with you. We will create a punch list of any final touches, and we'll complete that punch list within 3 business days. Once that's approved, final payments due within 24 hours. So 1 walkthrough, 1 punch list, 3 days to complete. And there's no back and forth. Oh, you need to do this. So you didn't do that well enough. Simplify and communicate. Now, here's the key. You don't just set expectations once and forget about them. You have to reinforce them throughout the whole project because people forget. They have very short attention spans. They get busy, life happens, and the expectations you sent 2 weeks ago, they're kind of fuzzy by now. So here's a suggested reinforcement schedule. So the first time that you're going to reinforce is at the contract signing. Just to confirm, we're going to start mid-April. Project takes about 2 weeks. Final payments due within 24 hours of completion. Do you have any questions for me on that? Next is going to be the week before you start. Hey guys, quick reminder. We're going to start Monday, right around 7 a.m. Your backyard is going to be a construction zone for 2 weeks. Do you have any last questions before we begin? You've already set the expectations of the mud and the vibration and all that stuff, but just reminding them it's going to be a construction zone. It's going to get a lot nastier before it gets prettier. Those kinds of things. The next opportunity is the day before you start. Hey guys, we're going to be out there around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just a heads up, there's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of dust, and your backyard is going to be unusable for at least 2 weeks. So we're going to see you in the morning. Let us know if you have any questions. Next is mid-project. You're on a tight schedule. Everything's working out well. You're going to wrap up by the end of April, as you already promised. Everything's looking good on your end. Do you have any questions for me? How's it going so far? How's the experience been for you? Start having those questions and those conversations early. Don't wait till the end of the project to ask those bigger questions. Do it mid-project. So if there's anything that's not looking right to your customer, you can start making adjustments while it's still in construction, not when it's fully finished and polished, and now you got to change a bunch of stuff. And then the last section here is before final payment. You say something like, we're finishing up tomorrow. Final walkthrough is scheduled for 10 a.m. on Friday. The final payment of $13,000 is due within 24 hours of your approval. Does that sound good? Again, reminding them, setting the tone for the next step. Now, I know this might sound repetitive, but you got to realize that repetition prevents the I don't know excuses. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you needed this. I didn't know you need. I left my checkbook at the office. Oh, I didn't leave the gate open because I forgot. I didn't clean up all the dog shit in the backyard. I forgot you were coming tomorrow. Like, these are the kinds of things that this setting expectations helps destroy. It pushes it away. It makes your life so much easier out there so you can be the professionals that you are. All right, last piece. You can set great expectations, but if you don't hold boundaries when the customer pushes back, you're going to lose profit and some sanity too. So let me give you some real scenarios that'll help you hold the line. So here's one scenario. The homeowner says, can you just add this in? It's small. You're already here. And a weak response from a contractor might be, sure, no problem. And now you just work for free. Or you say, sure, no problem. And your customer thinks, great, you're going to do it for free. And you're thinking, yeah, I'll just tag it on to the end of when we do our final walkthrough. I'm going to add that $1,500 in there for that additional remulching of those beds that weren't included. You think that. They think something else. Now you've got yourself an issue where you guys have a conflict. So make sure you're clear on that. A strong response would be, yeah, I can definitely do that. Let me put together a quote and I'll get it out to you here. It'll probably take about an extra day to do that. And I'll create the change order if you love it. Then we'll get it signed up. We'll get a payment and we'll get that right in there. We'll add it in. Does that work for you? And off you go. They say no, you don't do it. They say yes, you do it. Hold the boundary. Don't let them push you around. Next, scenario 2, homeowner says, I thought that was included. And now a lot of contractors looking to not have a conflict and or not get a bad review are going to say, oh, yeah, I guess I'll just throw it in. And then you just lost money. A stronger response would be, I can see why you thought that was included. Let me show you the contract. Here's what's included. Here's what's not, because you've gone and spent the time to make sure that contract was clear. You point to it and you say, look, right here, it shows that those extra beds are not included. We're just doing the ones directly around the house. Would you like me to add those? I'd be happy to price it out for you. I don't believe that homeowners are I don't think that they are bad people trying to take advantage of contractors. I think what happens is they are busy and they will ask and push as hard as they can against the wall, against the contractor, to see if they'll just throw things in. I think that they do that because A, they forget, and B, they want to see what the guy will say. You never know. It's your job as a professional to hold that boundary. Now, scenario 3 is homeowner says, hey, I just signed a contract. Can you start earlier? We have guests coming. I love when people do that, because now they're finally committing after 6 months of kicking the tires and kicking a can down the street and not doing anything and saying, yeah, we're going to get started, and not sending the deposit. And all of a sudden they sign up and say, oh, can you start earlier? We have guests coming. That's happened to me in the past. And it makes me laugh when it does happen, because I have no idea where these people are coming from. Because I'm thinking, if they have guests coming, that's such a big deal, then why wouldn't we have signed this contract 6 months ago when we could have actually made this possible? Now, a weak response would be, okay, let me see what I can do, and give them some kind of false hope. And now you just disrupted your entire schedule, if you even consider trying to move your schedule around for these people for free. A stronger response would be like, I understand that's important to you, and I wish I could just move things around, but I have other families like yours I've already given my word to about start dates, and they're ahead of you in my schedule. I hope you understand. And most decent people will, especially after they've already signed a contract. And if they don't, that's just going to be what it is. Hold the boundary. So here's the rule. If you don't hold your boundaries, your homeowners are going to walk all over you. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because you taught them they could. By letting them go, by letting them text you at 10:30 at night and you responding, by adjusting your time frames to make them happy, by giving them free stuff because they thought it was included because you didn't take the time to write it out, you're teaching them that they can walk all over you. It's time to stop that. Professionals, hardscapers, landscapers, outdoor living professionals out there, it's time to stop this. It's time to reteach our industry, the people that we serve, how to treat us. And look, this might feel uncomfortable. You might be thinking, Joshua, I'm not really interested in creating these difficult or rigid scenarios where people feel like I'm the one that I'm causing a problem or trying to cause a fight. And I get that. But there's one thing I want you to understand. Setting clear expectations isn't about being difficult. It's about being professional. Seriously, professional clients appreciate clarity. Most of these people that can afford these outdoor living spaces, they're probably not selling hot dogs. They probably don't have a lemonade stand, right? They're professionals. And if they're professionals, they're used to clarity. They appreciate directness. They appreciate boundaries. And when they notice a contractor doesn't have any, they just can't help themselves. And they ultimately want to know exactly what to expect next. And they respect professionals who have clear processes. Only your problem clients are the ones that get offended by boundaries. They're the ones that don't want to play by your rules. They're the ones that in the beginning won't give you your deposits or won't listen to your step-by-step process or don't want to pay for design. They show those red and yellow flags pretty early in the relationship if you know what to look for. And you really don't want those problem clients anyway. Let me tell you what happened when I first started doing this. My profit margins went up. My stress went down. My client satisfaction went up because there weren't surprises like there used to be. Homeowners knew exactly what to expect. I delivered exactly what I promised, and everybody was happy. And I stopped bleeding profit to scope creep. My guys were much happier in the field because they weren't staying extra hours in the project, redoing things they already did once. The misunderstandings and endless punch lists were disappearing. And this one shift saved me. I'm going to say $50,000 a year here, but I'll tell you right now, it was a lot more than that, especially in the first few years, just by getting clear on expectations. So here's my challenge for you. On your next project that you work on, set one expectation in your list of things that you're doing. Set one expectation crystal clear. Maybe it's just a simple timeline that you're going to get started at a certain time. Or maybe it's scope. Here's what's included and here's what's not. Or maybe it's your payment terms and that you want to be paid within 24 hours of the approval. Set those specific ones. Just pick one. Get specific, write it down, Get it in their agreement, something written. It's got to be written, guys. And then watch what happens. Now, this is just one of the core 10 principles that I've written in the book, but it's a big one. And there's nine others that are just as important, and just like qualifying leads so you can stop wasting time with tire kickers and how to sell outcomes instead of features. So you're in a way that you can start working with the client's feelings and not just focus on what they're trying to buy, and create urgency so deals don't die in limbo by wasting time. Clients are waiting for your responses and not getting it. It's all part of the bigger system, that core 10 system. And for now, just focus on this principle. The path to profit and loss is paved in expectations. So get clear, get specific, get it in writing, and protect your profit. Okay, that's all for today. And until next time, set one clear expectation for the next time you engage with a customer. Write it down, be specific. Maybe it's even about change orders. Maybe that's what it is, that you're going to finally become detailed exactly how you handle change orders, and explain that from the very beginning all the way through the end. You're going to be amazed by what happens. This is Joshua Gillow. Thanks for listening in. Go out and protect your profits by setting clear expectations. Chat with you next time.